Hey everyone, Josh here. Just taking a quick break from the V10 and TDI videos to do a quick video on the diesel space heaters, or Chinese diesel heaters, or Webesto knockoffs, whatever you want to call them. I was going to do an install video, but there's a bunch out there already, so you can just look it up on YouTube. But one thing I did different was installing an EGR cooler to kind of scavenge a little bit of the exhaust coming out of it and see how well that works. So I'm just going to go over why I really like it, why I don't like the diesel heater itself, and then go over how I made this EGR cooler work on it. Okay, so I've kind of got the whole contraption in the video here, but I just want to talk about why I like this diesel heater. So it's a 5 kilowatt Vevor, which the 5 and the 8 kilowatts are all the same, except for the 8 kilowatts are overfueled. So I'd avoid them, just get the 5 kilowatts, save your money. There's also 2 kilowatts, which are much smaller and which would probably fit in here a lot better. Even on low, this heater gets way too hot in here, so I'm probably going to do 2 videos on these. The first one is this EGR cooler, and the second one I'm going to do an auto on and off function, which these don't come, which is part of the part I don't like, but I'll skip to that next. But yeah, it's really fuel efficient. I really like that. It gets really hot. I had it in like 25 degrees Celsius in here when it was minus 10 outside, so it works really good. And they're cheap. They are really cheap. Parts available. You can get them on Amazon in a few days, really. So that is a big plus, is that. And it's a nice dry heat, so yeah, you have a $5,000 toolbox and more money than you want to think about in tools. You want to keep everything dry and not frozen. Also, aerosols don't work very good when it's cold, and same thing with all your electronics, scan tools, stuff like that. It's nice to keep everything dry and warm, so that's the main reason I've got it installed in here. But yeah, we'll skip to the part that I don't like about these, and I'm just going to switch the camera. So the reason I went with why I like them first is I didn't want it to sound like I think these things are junk, because here's my little list of stuff. Fuel line these Vevors come with, which this is the cheapest of the cheap, and I think a lot of the other cheaper ones will come with it, is this green fuel line. So apparently it's not fuel rated and it'll crack and dry out after a year. It's not UV rated either, and it also doesn't like the heat very well, and it's gonna break. And the final thing is these clips that come with it are junk. I got just a bunch of clear carb line. It's fairly stiff, thick wall stuff. You can also get the correct Webesto or whatever they are, the stiff clear line. This stuff that I got for carbs is 1/8 inch and it fits on nicely. The other stuff is 2 mil with the 4 mil adapters. And that being said, I also don't like the fuel filter they come with. It's a spin-on filter. It's nice for cleaning, but I was afraid of vibrations it coming loose and leaking diesel everywhere. And this tank, since it's fed off the bottom, there's no shut-off. So if it starts leaking, you're dumping all that out, unless you can pinch that off quick enough. The next part is the base plate. So this comes with just this flimsy little turret. The reason I don't like this is you just got these little holes poking through. So the nice ones, which again are Webesto knockoffs, they have a nice 4-inch hole here, so that this has a nice air gap. I made my own because of this setup for the same kind of deal. This is 1.5 inch piping, and this is 2.5 piping here, so I've got a nice air gap so the floor doesn't catch on fire. This is the seal. It's supposed to sit on there. It's supposed to block out, or they basically seal up so no exhaust gets into your vehicle. A lot of these are rubber and they're not meant for temperature, like high heat, because that pipe can get to, I've had it up to 300 degrees Celsius, so that's really hot for that, so it's going to melt and catch on fire. The exhaust and the intake you're supposed to use is just this black piece here. It's almost like a cardboard, so if it gets wet out, it's just going to all kind of fall apart. And the exhaust, it's not too bad, but it seems if you put heat wrap on it, as in like if you have something rolling around on the floor and you don't want it to melt, this rusts really bad. And the other issue is they don't give you exhaust clamps. You're supposed to use gear clamps. So I'll talk about what I did there when I get to this. The wiring, I don't have any issues with that. Some people say it's too thin of gauge, and when the glow plug turns on, you end up with a voltage drop, and then you get an under voltage. But I've got 14 volts to it, so I haven't had any issues with that yet. I've just kept the factory wiring, and my batteries are just in behind here, so I don't have very far of a run. And the final thing is the controller. This is a non-adjustable controller. You can't change the fuel ratio or the air, so that kind of sucks, especially if you're in altitude. So this is the 3-fin fan controller. So the issue with this, all of these heaters, when they hit your target temperature, they just run on low. So it doesn't matter, even if your temperature is 23 and you only want it to be 5 degrees, it's still going to keep running and obviously heating up the air. So some of these controllers you can run the afterburner controller on, which has the auto on-off function, but you need the 6-fin fan, not the 3-fin fan. The page, his website has all the details on what's compatible and what's not. So that's kind of the downside with these. I'm planning on making a Arduino controlled on-off via temperature. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Yeah. So that's all of the kind of the downsides with this. The cheaper ones. You can get more expensive ones like the H-Calorie or H-Calorie or Lavender ones, but yeah, you're about double the money. So this stuff like fuel line was $10, and depending on how you want to do, like turret plates were $15, $20. So spend a little bit of money, you can upgrade these things, and I think they're pretty decent. But yeah, I've had good luck with it so far. So next up, we're going to cover off what I've got going on here and what I think of it so far. So I'm going to start off with this. I have all these exhaust connections up in basic living space. Like I've got my toolbox here and my bench. So you got to be careful that you don't die of carbon monoxide or whatever. So if you're sleeping in your trailer and you want to do this setup, I'd maybe keep everything on the outside to kind of prevent that risk. But kind of is what it is here. I don't work in here very often. It's more or less just tool storage and getting to the job site. But yeah, so the EGR cooler. So this is off an ALH TDI, and actually the 90 is as well. So it worked out good. That fit on here nicely. I think it's about a 1-inch fitting. It's hard to find 1-inch piping. So this is an 1.25 inch exhaust clamp. It seems to work fine. There's no exhaust leak there, so I'm happy with that. I went to here. So the original had a hard 90. Apparently these are pretty picky with intake and exhaust, so I don't think I have an exhaust flow issue through the EGR, but I didn't want anything too tight. So this is a nice mandrel bend versus what it originally was. So it goes down, and then I've got my generator exhaust. The downside with that is the generator will extinguish the flame if I have that running at the same time, but I don't often use the generator. It's more or less just kind of a backup. Got my band clamp, an exhaust flex pipe, and it goes down to the floor and then it points out backwards on a 90. Works fine driving. I was a little afraid it would extinguish the flame driving, like pulling the exhaust out too quick, but that doesn't seem to happen. Everything seems to work nicely. So everything, that's nice and easy. It's all stainless mandrel bends. Pretty happy with how all this turned out. And as far as the exhaust heat scavenging, since I work on Volkswagens a lot, this, obviously as I said, that was off a Mark IV ALH EGR cooler. This is off of a 12-valve VR6 auxiliary rad, and this is the auxiliary electric water pump. So it's all scrapyard parts, nice and cheap. Same thing, this is a coolant ball off of a, same thing, a Mark IV. I think the split's leaking, so I might have to try and grab a different one from my pile, but it is what it is. And then as far as piping, this would be my hot, which is 3/4 inch heater hose that goes to the inlet of the auxiliary rad. And I've got my outlet that loops up. This is just kind of make up anything that leaks or just to have stuff. So the cooler is not really in circuit, it's just kind of make up. And then the heater, or the pump, which goes back to the EGR cooler. So it's just a closed circuit, nice and simple. The auxiliary rads, they didn't come with a fan on them, sadly. And all I had local was a cheap, I'm going to assume that's a computer fan. I think it said it was about 100 CFM, which is way too low. So I'm going to try and get a nice little either a push or a pull fan, like for transmission cooler or something, and and actually get a bit of airflow through here and straighten all those fins out. So I'm gonna get this running here, get it on high, and then we can see like the temperature difference. And it's a world of difference. I don't know if you can see it on my hands. The burn marks, like this gets extremely hot. This you can touch, and then this is just warm. So then another thought, so with this fan, I wanted a separate fan. I did originally think about feeding it into the backside. The issue is, I think this has to be below 40 degrees Celsius intake air, or else, actually I can take it apart right now. So that's the heater itself. So you've got the motherboard right back here. So this air is cooling this electronics. So you don't want to be feeding hot air into it, because you might end up with that failing. The other thought was putting it on the outlet, but this gets really, really hot, and I think that's going to defeat the purpose of having a temperature drop across this rad. So I'll probably try and get one of these here coming the next week or so and see if it works any better. Okay, so the audio is going to kind of suck with all the fans and the pump running, but kind of is what it is. So it's not exactly cold out, it's about -2 or so. When I was filming, it was 16 in here when I had the heat on, and we're up to 21. So it's only been 5 or 10 minutes on high. So it's pretty amazing the heat that thing puts out. So I don't have a fancy thermal imaging gun, but I do have a temp gun. So we're going to check some temperatures. So first off, the coolant, which again, this isn't really in the system. It's getting close to 46, 47 degrees Celsius. I think if I had a good blower fan, I think that would be much lower, because you actually be getting all that air out of there, or all the heat out of there. So anyways, yeah, so 305, 315. And the outlet, 45, 50. So you can't touch that. This is warm, but not terrible. And then yeah, down here where it's close to the floor where stuff's gonna hit it, it's much more touchable. As far as temperature on the EGR, I don't know, 41 degrees. And then the outlet, at 43 or so. So I think if this, again, if this fan was better, I think we'd actually be getting some of that heat out of there, because you can feel this one here, or I can feel this one here is warm, and this is hot, but it's pretty close temperature-wise. So I really think if I had a better fan in here, I'd actually be able to scavenge more of that heat. Because that, yeah, 56, 58. So there's definitely heat there to be recovered. And then if we go to here, the body, ow, I can't hold that there. 200 degrees, which that's definitely not far off. So I'll get all this shut down and I'll kind of do an end cap here. Okay, so final thoughts now that everything's shut off and you can actually hear me now. With the heater on high, the outlet was about 300 degrees Celsius. On low, it's about 200 or so. So there's definitely a lot of heat in that system to scavenge. I think if I have, as I said earlier, if I had a better fan, I think this would be a worthwhile setup. Especially I'm planning on running it 24/7 once it's below freezing, which is usually November to March around here. So I think any fuel savings I can get out of it, makes it worthwhile. If you're only going to be using it on the weekends or not very often, I don't think this setup's worthwhile. It overcomplicates a lot. You've now got coolant, which has the possibility of leaks. these coolers leak inside, and then now you gotta fix your exhaust setup, and I think it might be more of a pain than it's worth for that setup. But yeah, so the plan here next will be doing an auto on and off function, because once this reaches your temperature, it just goes into low, which it still gets too hot in here. So next video is gonna be controlled by an Arduino, the temperature, and I've got 2 probes, so I wanna run the second probe to power up the pump and the fan here, because right now I just have it on jumpers. So stay tuned for that one. But yeah, that's it for this video.